Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? I'm going to do my recap of our third session of All for One Regime Diabolique, Lights and Darkness, our four game master game of Regime Diabolique. So let's talk about this. Um, Francois Letarte, JDRD 30, ran our third session. It was actually a fourth session, but it was a two-parter, cliffhanger with Runeslinger when he ran his first. So this is, we got four game masters. I have not gone yet, and everybody's running like a session, and hopefully we get to do it again. We're not just one round robin of four, but hopefully we do it again. But anyhow, it was really cool. Francois was like a guy that kind of introduced me to the RPG Brigade, if I recall correctly. He was one of those first people that I kind of connected with when I started making videos again. And I think he tagged me in some kind of question and answer video. We got to know each other a little bit better, and he's one of these guys I developed kind of like an online friendship with. The guy's really cool, so I was really pumped when he got involved with this. I kind of twisted his arm and said, "You should buy this book. It's on sale. All for one. I think it might still be on sale for like $17 or something, whatever it is." Anyhow, got him involved in this, and so it was really cool to have him run a session of this. And it's the kind of session where I realized, man, I really wish I spoke French at all. Because obviously English is not Francois' first language, and so he's much more fluent in French, and he's in English. He is so good and so thinks so fast on his feet, so creative, brings so much stuff in together, is able to kind of gently and tactfully remind you if you've forgotten something, just pull stuff out of a hat when he needs to. He's that good in a language that's not his first one. And I'm thinking, man, how much better is he, in French? And I'm not complaining. I'm saying it was that good. So it was really, really fun to, have him as a game master. We missed having Briscoe around, because we can't get all four musketeers together because that's just not how it works. But really, really cool. So let me talk about some of my impressions here of the game, just a little recap too. It pretty much boils down to Philippe Moreau, was able to, bravely chase down a thief and retrieve a valuable item stolen from the Queen, and then burned it, saving France. So what happens is we get set up. We're going to be guards at a ball, and the Chancellor of Sweden is coming down. He's making some kind of treaty with France and talking about all the stuff during the 30 Years' War. And so we're on guard duty. We're doing actual real musketeer duty. We're not going outside of Paris and doing some kind of special mission. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing. However, we have to guard the Louvre with the Cardinals Guards, who we are rivals with. And so it's already at this tense situation where we're not supposed to get in brawls with these guys anyway, but there's this big rivalry. But now we have to be in the same spot. So Francois was able to bring in all these kind of trick hooks and triggers and stuff for both for the genre and for the specific characters in there. And this is the first one. It's just this tense situation, and right off the bat. We're all stationed outside. Philippe isn't sure where he wants to go. Already, Martin and Jean-Marie have figured out where they want where they want to guard. And Philippe really hadn't. I really hadn't. And so, I instantly kind of try to jump in Philippe's shoes as soon as the game starts. And so Philippe's really unsure of himself when it comes right down to it. It's funny because he always kind of uses Martin and Jean-Marie as the leader in the group, because Briscoe really isn't the leader. Briscoe is this comic relief, silver-tongued guy who can get us out of a lot of trouble, can get us into trouble and get us out. But he's really not a leader. He's just overconfident, bombastic, ladies' man. So I've got this moment where both these guys are on the scene. So who do I follow? What do I do? Who's really in charge here? I was interested to see what would happen, and we didn't really plan anything. It just kind of it happened organically in place. So the first thing is Philippe was I don't know. I guess I stand between them in guard duty. And next thing you know, Francois really brings some stuff in right away. He brings in somebody that one of Martin's cousins is walking by, and that is something that it's a trigger for Runeslinger's character, because he's this kind of exiled guy. He's on the run from his own family. He should be there representing his family at this gathering, but no, it's his cousin instead. So it kind of ticked off. So what does Anthony do? He says, okay, Martin sends Philippe, go make sure that this guy is taken care of. That somebody make sure that he's okay. Make sure he's searched. And so Philippe just runs up. He's not really sure what to do, so he just stops the guy and asks him all the questions he can think of, which is not much, and that's not really sure what to do. This causes this guy to get upset. He calls the Cardinals guard over, and next thing you know, there's this little bit of a scuffle between Philippe and the guard. Not really, but just kind of this thing where I'm sitting there and I'm sort of sweating bullets as Philippe. And you know, I already know, like, out of character, I could be in this serious trouble because this guy wants the cardinal called over. I'm like, oh crap, what am I going to do? Philippe's not that smart. So I'm sweating bullets. I'm getting nervous. I'm that immersed in you know, in the situation. Just before that, actually, we had an interaction with Henri, the guy who Briscoe sometimes, you know, wore his shirt, has like pretty much slept with this guy's wife, and this guy already hates us. And we have this little interaction with Henri. It's not with. It's funny because it's not with Jean Marie, who he thought might have been the actual perpetrator. It's with Martin. So, you know, and once again, he's not really silver-tongued. So it's just kind of like back and forth, and all Philippe can really do is kind of do this little jabbing here and there. He knows how to insult the guy, but not really what to do after that. So that was really kind of interesting. So Francois brings that old hook back in. So it's already, he's building up this tension between us and the Cardinals guards. Next thing you know, there's a bunch of crows that Jean-Marie sees flying in the window, and Jean-Marie is like paranoid out of his mind at this point. He's the paranoid monster hunter. He's gone like off the deep end, and you know, Runesinger done this like little one-shot video, one-on-one with Null Inquisitor, exploring like what happened with this character, and that was all brought about originally because Null Inquisitor wrote this little story about what did Jean-Marie do while the three of us were off gallivanting to the front, you know, having a good old vacation, you know, fighting a vampire. And so he came up with this little story, but you know, they decided to, like, you know, see what happened afterwards and play that out. So there's like an hour and change video about that up there on Runesinger's channel, which was really cool, really entertaining, and this really cool talk afterwards about it. So we were setting the stage for all this kind of stuff. So Jean-Marie is just, he's paranoid at this point, but he's the guy that sees these crows fly into the Queen's chamber, and hears the screams at that point. So we now decide we need to go rush in and save the Queen, but we don't go to the front door. We don't notify the Cardinals guards, who are the guys that probably really should go be checking this stuff out, because we're on the outside guard, they're on the inside, but we're going to get the glory for ourselves. We are the Musketeers. So we run up to a side entrance. The two of them are actually to go through the door, but they say, you should climb up the wall. And I'm like, I'll climb the wall, because Philippe is, you know, it's funny. We talked about, off and on, we've talked about like putting triggers or hooks into the various sessions for the various characters, and you know how much skill people have had doing that, which is really cool. However, people sometimes, they'll tend to put in like I've noticed they'll put in like a fight for Philippe or some kind of acrobatic thing somewhere for Philippe. He doesn't need that. You know, I was just talking to Runesinger maybe today, yesterday. I fired off, you know, sooner or later there's going to be some kind of conflict. And so Philippe will draw steel at one point or another. There'll be some kind of fight. But even if there's not even a fight in the game, there's terrain everywhere. And as long as he wants to go from point A to point B, I'm really into this idea of just going for the complete like cinematic musketeer vibe. Not so much like it's my spotlight time now. I'm going to have, you know, show you what my character can do. And here's my you know, 30 seconds in the spotlight or whatever when I do this cool move. It's more like that's kind of what he would do anyway. And this is kind of like a musketeer sort of thing. So it's just kind of fun. If he's going from point A to point B and there's a few stories in his way, well, he's going to clamber up there or jump down or swing on some curtains or what have you. So I really enjoy playing the character in that way. And he slips. He falls flat in his back in a thorn bush, as a matter of fact. Meantime, these guys get up the stairs, find out what the screaming, you know, is about. They're able to kind of get their way through a couple of Cardinals guards by talking. I'm a couple of steps behind them because at that point I'm just running through the door. I'm not going to try to climb up again. I know how the system works. It's going to take a -2 die hit. I'm not going to do that and fall again because I already spent style points trying to get up that frickin' wall. So I'm running them afterwards, but I'm like a bull in a china shop. I'm just pushing people out of my way, because that's the way my character is. There's a bunch of crows in the chamber. We, you know, end up fighting the crows a little bit. It's pretty comical at one point because Martin, they chased Martin, pushes the Queen on the bed, cuts all the ropes around the canopy bed, and has the drapes fall on her. Brilliant to keep the crows off of her, but just very odd and risque. Meantime, Jean-Marie is swearing and then apologizing to the Queen when Martin reminds them they shouldn't really be swearing because there's these crows flying all over the place. We dispatch or chase the crows out pretty fast, but not before we notice at the last second that one of them has grabbed something and stolen it from the Queen's chamber. We can't see what it is. We're trying to catch this bird, except for Jean-Marie, who doesn't know that. So he just keeps like, go, 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 get out, and the bird, you know, flies out. We're unable to catch it. So at that point, we look out the window. We can see that the bird is giving it to somebody, some dark, shadowy figure. So I'm like, hey, swinging on curtains now. Grab a curtain, say, hey, grab the curtains, the other end of the curtains, and make sure I don't fall that fast. And I swing out. And I had actually invested some experience points in the ability to swing better, the skill. So it was cool to be able to use that. Once again, it wasn't about spotlight time. It's like, what would be the coolest thing to happen in this like kind of musketeer thing? It doesn't matter if it's my guy or somebody else's. Jean Marie followed me, not as well, and broke the curtain rod, but still, it's kind of cool. Martin stays with the queen and find out what's happening because he wants some fame, and what better way? He could go running after everybody with us, but I felt like he'd get hurt that way. But it's my name is Martin. Hello, Queen Anne. You'll remember my name. So he talks to her. He's great at getting some information out of her. Francois was really cool at that point, saying, "Hey, I want to try this experiment. We're going to do this little flashback with how the Queen got this little trinket that they got stolen by the birds, which is a little wooden eye of the Wendigo is what it turns out to be. A little coin with a little blue dot in it, something that a kid can make." And so as this, we act out. I take the part of the queen. They take part of the two servants. Just they kind of name right off the top of their heads. And then this guy comes back from the New World with this Native American. Is what it boils down to. And she gives barely speak English, and she gives the queen this thing, this coin. Wanted to meet the queen, and gives her a gift of like maple syrup or something too, which is funny because the game ended up involving a Wendigo and maple syrup, which is something that as we were talking about playing this game, I think I even joked that would be kind of cool. We should have you guys go to Quebec. And that was a colony by then, right? And they're like, yeah, because they know, being from there. And we're talking about that, JDRD 30 and No Inquisitor. And maybe we should have like maple syrup and Wendigos. Yeah, I totally forgot about that, but they showed up. And so, but it was a great little flashback, and we got to play the parts of these other characters. All saw, except only Martin was the only one there at that. As a character, hearing the story from the Queen. Meantime, we go off on this awesome chase scene, which didn't have too much go on, except that like I'm swinging out the window on a curtain. Jean Marie comes after me, not quite so dramatically, and I'm running full speed, knocking people down. My quarry is knocking people down. I don't care either. This guy's screaming I broke his arm or something because I'm just a bull in a china shop, and I'm after this person. I'm guarding the Queen's whatever. I'm not even sure what the heck I'm after at that point. However, I get outdone. I'm already in big trouble. The Cardinal's guards are screaming at me before as I'm running in. We're going to tell the Cardinal about you. And I'm like, get in line. Get in line. I'm already in big trouble. So Jean-Marie does not outdone. He steals a cart. A Swedish cart. Probably the cart of the Chancellor of Sweden. Just knocks the guards off. Sorry, I'm taking this. Boom. Goes out. This is hysterical. This should be a movie. And I managed to chase this shadowy figure up on a building, and then we have this 1 second sword fight where I wound them, and they willingly fall off the building. I'm like, what the heck is that? Fell in a carriage, like hay-filled carriage on the bottom, and still run. So we have to chase them right before I meet Jean Marie. I jump right in the hay wagon. Meet Jean Marie. Okay, let's go follow this person because he's a bloodhound. He can follow a trail of blood. And this Swedish guy stumbles out of the carriage. We're not sure if that's the Chancellor or who it is. They're all freaked out. So we're just, oh, sorry, we'll leave you here. We're in huge trouble. The person, we chase him to the Pont Neuf, which is something that it's a bridge. It's something we were joking about, in our little thread. And Francois brings this in because he's like, we should do something at the Pont Neuf. That's a place that they used to have duels. Next thing you know, there we are. It wasn't planned, but here we are. That's where the area that we were. That we chased this person to, and suddenly Philippe's like, this is destiny to be on the Neuf. We both end up jumping off because this person jumps. They get the initiative on us, jumps off the building. They're wounded, they're dying. They still want to get away from us. So we jump off. It's getting dark. It's raining outside as well. We're in the Seine. I'm not back in the Seine, but Jean Marie, because in his last little one-on-one session, was in the Seine, which is filthy and filled with human excrement when it comes right down to it. And there we are trying to find this person. I actually commandeer a boat from somebody and make them, or row them ashore and make them use their light to find this person. Jean Marie actually swims up there, and we get this person. Turns out to be a woman. So we kind of fast forward to meeting everybody at the hotel of Monsieur de Treville. So we've got them because we want to interrogate them, this person, and also try to stitch them up a little bit. So Jean Marie's Blackie. What the heck is his name? Luciano. He's being played by Anthony, who makes him have an Italian accent, which is hysterical. Because prior to game, I start messing around with the idea that it's Swedish. Well, I'm going to start talking like the Swedish chef because Philippe, couldn't even say du foie correctly. and that's French. Let's start talking like that. You know, you can start to get this feeling in this four-way conversation with us over Facebook Messenger that, like, you know, Anthony might fly to America and strangle me if I do this. And then we're joking about that. So all of a sudden he's, you know, doing this Italian accent. It's awesome. Small, short, but just, you know, it's an in-joke, I suppose, but it was hysterical. So we end up interrogating this person, and we do it via the magic of Martin, because he is able to, you know, have these rituals, and so they look like prayer. He was actually able to do a ritual outside of, a lot of his magic occurs off camera, so to speak. So he was able to do a ritual prior to our actual guard duty, increasing his physical statistics when it came right down to it, and his empathy, because he wanted to be able to, this is something he explained to us later, he wanted to be able to, like, read other people, because he's doing guard duty, so, you know, I should be able to suss their intent, so to speak, and then if I need to guard the king and guard France, he blessed his weapon, you know, increased his body, that sort of thing, increased his physical capability. But now here he is with this person that's very unwilling to talk and tell us what's going on, and he, you know, through magic, and through a little bit of good cop, bad cop between him and Jean-Marie. Jean-Marie is definitely playing bad cop the entire time. Able to get this person to talk, who is a nun, because, you know, one of the other lackeys, Claude, Martin's lackey, actually finds a habit, finds a rosary, and it turns out that, you know, that she believes this is a coin. This is a thing that belongs to her mother superior. She wasn't doing anything against the queen or for the queen. She was doing something for her mother superior. So now all of a sudden we get the knock on the door, and it's Monsieur de Treville. He's like, "What the hell have you done?" And one of the best lines in the entire session, Jimmy looks up, "Our job," and we've completely just, you know, stolen a carriage. We're not sure if it was a chancellor or who the heck it was, who apparently was enjoying a card game when we got back, and, you know, really loving life in the town. So loves Paris. We're showing him Paris. What's Paris is really like. The spirit of the Musketeers. So at this point, you know, we get a little bit of information from this woman. There's this really cool scene where Jean-Marie and Martin, you know, I'm not on camera at that point, are having this talk, because, you know, it's funny. Jean-Marie goes to his room. We're gonna go now to this convent, and it seems that this convent of St. George, they might be involved in something a little bit bizarre at this point. They might not be all good. Jean-Marie is going on, and there should be music for the scene where he's just, you know, putting on his breastplate and sharpening wooden stakes and, you know, holy water and everything else, like arming himself to the teeth for God knows what. He's not sure, because he's like crazy. But the thing is, he knows he's not really thinking that sanely, and he has this talk with Martin. He said, I'm going to trust your judgment. Let me know if the, you know, when I should act or not act, because I'm probably going to, like, be a little trigger happy. And at the same time, in the very first session, near the end of the last session, we had to pretty much kill Martin's father, who was an evil cultist when it came right down to it, using his magic for evil, as did most of Martin's family. Like, he's this kind of this odd duck. Has to, you know, hopefully, you know, restore his family name, or at least his name in the family, like maybe take it over. I think that's his ultimate goal, like a little bit of revenge and what have you. But, you know, we had to kill his father, and then we had to kind of like brutally dispatch of, or actually really Martin and Jean-Marie, when it came right down to it, had a dispatch of the brothers, that one of the brothers, the brother of what the heck was his name, Edouard, I believe, and his father, from Albert, the original musketeer we were supposed to go save. Maybe it was Edward we were supposed to go save. I hope we killed the right guy. Yeah, we killed the right guy. But the idea that, like, you know, he had to do some pretty nasty stuff, and, you know, he felt like, you know, Martin, you know, should be able to exact some kind of revenge upon him for killing his father. But you know, I never came into the equation that I did most of the killing. But anyhow, we'll get back to that. It's okay, as long as he doesn't know. But the idea is that, you know, he felt like at this point there was some tension between those two characters. At least it was something that we didn't speak of. And so Jean-Marie is obviously worried that Martin would holds this grudge or whatever. And Martin, like, let's know this isn't all for one thing, and I don't hold a grudge. And, you know, when you're there to kill the loup-garou of Orleans, so the werewolf that killed Jean-Marie's son, I'll be right there with you. So it's this, you know, kind of cool bonding moment. And it's cool in that game too. Like, when it comes right down to it, like, you know, Briscourt and Philippe, they're the guys that need the least amount of triggers. You know, all of Paris is, you know, 50% female. That's all the triggers that Briscourt needs. There's always going to be somebody to draw steel with, and somebody to, some environment to do some acrobatic stuff around. That's all the triggers Philippe needs. They are shallower characters. They're still cool. They have some depth, but they are less adult when it comes right down to it. The characters that have more depth and are more interesting are like, Martin and Jean Marie, especially like how they, who's going to be the leader of this group. And at the end of the day, there really isn't a leader. It depends on the situation. We all kind of are parts of this whole, which is really kind of neat. It's also kind of, it's interesting to see how we operate without one of those parts, because we're never all there. That's one of those, times, JDRD 30 in the end, actually, asked Paul, Wiggy Wade Williams, why don't you game master a session for us, so all 4 Musketeers can be there, because it'd be interesting to see them all 4. Don't know if that ever happened, but still. Anyhow, I'm digressing, but so where are we in this story? So at this point, we had gotten a letter at some point from Eugene, who is a woman, although nobody's supposed to know that. Certainly not Briscoe, who is in love with Briscoe, an actress, I think, that saw him at some point and wasn't able to get him to give her his number, so to speak. So she's been following around. She's become his lackey, so she can be close to him. But of course, she's heartbroken all the time because Briscoe is messing around with all these other women. So she sees us, and she is crying, and or he, is crying. And he's got this letter from Briscoe saying, I'll see you guys later. I'm going to, I met this mademoiselle, and she's taking me to this special kind of convent, if you know what I mean. See you later. Now, so we get this letter. We realize that Briscoe is going off someplace. And it's kind of like this jab at this point from, the way we're seeing it from JDRD 30, is this jab from Francois. Because Briscoe was inside. The rest of us are outside in the rain. His character, isn't going to be playing with us, but he decides the reason he's not playing with you is because he's gotten special inside duty escorting this noblewoman who was kind of like a contact that he got from the last game. So he's just taking the liberty. So okay, she really is a contact at this point. So she and I are going to hit it off. That's not the woman he went home with, so to speak. Not that they went home, but so this is just this letter saying now he's going off on this fun adventure after party, and we're not loving this guy. We want to kill him at this point, because here we are up to our necks in trouble already, and wet to begin with. So we kind of missed the idea that this is special, like another kind of convent, if you know what I mean. The word convent kind of escapes us in everything else that's going on, because now what happens? We leave this. They have this wonderful heart-touching scene, and next thing you know, I get to change actually into some more dashing clothes, because my clothes smell like the Seine, which does not smell good, and we hear this clamor, and the woman who we've stitched up is apparently beating the crap out of our lackeys and is taken off and searched our lackeys looking for this coin. It's not on her, it's or like any of the people. It was on Martin. However, at this point, I decide I'm going to go need to grapple this woman. So she's got like a chair leg or something. Now, Philippe is a combat monster. He already had a little bit of combat with her, but he pretty much dispatched her pretty easy. And the thing about people like Philippe and like this woman as well, because this is something I found out later. Generally, combats are over very fast because you get a good lucky hit in real fast. Bam. And you do a lot of damage. And you kind of disable your opponent, whether it's lethal or non-lethal. It goes the other way for Philippe. I decided I'm going to go grapple her, get this stick away from her, and you can calm down, honey, because we, bound up her wounds a little bit. She healed some wounds, but she's still a little hurt. She clocks me right off the bat, knocks me flat out. Does this tremendous amount of non-lethal damage to me. I am on the ground. I was like, oh, what happened? She said takes off. And at this point, like my character, I get hurt again later on in this game. My character has been in some brawls, some fights with other people in game. He is very capable. The times he's gotten wounded has been by people he would have not have considered a threat. He got wounded in the first game by essentially what was like a minion, a cultist, a guy with a dagger, not a musketeer, not a swashbuckler, not a skilled swords person. And the second time he gets his claw cleaned is by a woman, and somebody he just did not expect, a nun, who hits him with a chair leg, and boom, instantly, clocks him. So from an in-character perspective, this is like, what happened? He's just like, it was a force of nature. She must be 7 feet tall. You just can't believe it. So this is an entertaining scene. and really kind of informs me like more like, I'm getting in my character's head more and more. I was really kind of engaged the entire time, despite the fact that we were laughing it up and really outdoing each other with one-liners, which is just great for Musketeer type stuff. It's part and parcel of gaming, I think, especially like if you're a little older than us. I don't know, maybe all gamers do this. We just kind of rib each other, but this is really part and parcel of the whole Musketeer vibe. It really kind of encourages that. So at this point, they kind of heal me up a little bit, just kind of doctor my wounds to the point where I can walk and everything, and I'm just complaining. And at this point, we're going to have to go to the place where this nun was, her convent, the convent of St. George, which is kind of weird. And then all of a sudden, like, this is how Francois is really, really skilled at kind of like, hey, you missed something here. He has Claude say, hey, did you get that letter? Can I see that letter from Eugene? And he reads it, and actually, like, Martin reads it out loud again, and he's like, convent, huh? And all of a sudden, like, the light goes on in Anthony's mind, like, hey, I missed that before. So Francois did not say, hey, you missed this. He didn't say, hey, why don't you read it again? He had, through the lackey, he kind of reminded us of something that we kind of missed. And also, Claude mentions the fact that, like, Briscoe went with this woman who looked such and such like this, who looked an awful lot like that woman you were just with, And we start to get this idea that they might be sisters. They might be twin sisters. Little clues that we didn't quite get that got brought back. And just a really skillful, seamless way. This is one of those things where I'm just like, thinking about it afterwards, like, man, he was really good at that. So we go to this convent. We're not sure what the hell to do. It's the middle of the night. So, Martin's like, why don't you just go knock, Philippe? So I knock. And the great thing about Philippe is, the whole thrill-seeking and impulsiveness and youthfulness and being brash, and he's really good at, like, opening the door, the first part. He's not sure what to say after that. And we don't have the silver-tongued Briscoe with us either. So we're trying to get them in. And, there's one of these parts where Anthony says something really funny. Martin says, it's out of character. So he's like, I don't want to use, like, intimidation on her. I don't want to... it's not like I want to manipulate these nuns or anything, but I don't want to take any crap either. We're not sure what the heck to do. So the nuns really don't want to let us in. There's this back and forth kind of thing. Philippe just climbs up the wall and tries to go in. And we find this, sure enough, there's this Native American woman there. But she's actually blocked the door. She's not trying to not let me in the window. She doesn't want me to jump in the window, but of course I'm Philippe. I'm just going to jump in the window after I scare other nuns. But she's barricaded the door for the other nuns getting in. Clearly there's something really wacky going on. She's trying to warn me of I say I'm there for the thing, a little coin or whatnot. She realizes I'm talking about this Eye of the Wendigo. Still have no idea what the heck that means, but she's saying Wendigo. Meantime, back down on the landing, the two twin sisters come in, and they agree to take us to go meet the Mother Superior. And so we have to go in the back of the house. There's overgrown garden, and it just looks like nobody's taking care of it. We start, walking down there. We can smell carrion, and all of a sudden, we're questioning, like, what's going on? And they go, well, this is where you see the Mother Superior. Finally, we get into this clearing, and there's dead bodies there. And Briscoe is tied to a tree by vines. This is starting to look really, really bad. And they have us put the Eye of the Wendigo down. It's this whole little tense situation where we're not really sure what to do. And next thing you know, of course, I'm going to go try to rescue Briscoe. Out comes the Wendigo, the 7 or 8 foot tall thing. It's the Mother Superior, has been turned into this horrible creature. So we have this combat, which is really, really, really scary. And it's really scary because at this point, Jean-Marie makes this great shot, rolls incredible amounts of successes. He's shooting past me, which is always what happens to Philippe. Somebody's shooting right past his head. I don't like these guys having muskets around me because they tend to shoot right in my direction. But there I am. Very familiar situation for me. And hits her, and even though a lot of successes, at this point, Francis says, so what's the bullet made out of? And we're all typing back and forth like, dude, it's made out of silver. It's, and blessed by the Pope, and, But, of course, no Inquisitor doesn't lie. In fact, he goes on to this big explanation of how musket, balls were. I'm like, dude, just say it's gold or silver, and, holy, blessed by all religions, Of course, he has regular bullets. So nothing we have is doing any damage. It reminded me of those times when we were like 13, 14 years old, and we're playing, basic D&D or something like that, and you encounter something like a white, which is level draining and can only be hit by magic weapons, and nobody has a magic weapon. I'm like, what do we do? We all run. It's like, no, what I really need to do is run faster than you. Well, I was convinced at one point, like, we were probably all going to buy it. And in fact, one of the coolest things about this situation, I didn't really think about it until afterwards, is Francois put his own character in jeopardy. Because he was there, like, tied up as this sacrifice. That was the next thing the Wendigo was going to eat. If we bought it, if it was a TPK or whatever, if we ran, his character was going to die. And he wasn't even going to have a chance to play them. So there was a lot of faith. It wasn't like a railroad, but that was one of those things like, man, you really invested that much in the game. So that was really, really kind of interesting, rather. So we finally managed to defeat this Wendigo, and like Jean-Marie happens to have one silver knife, and he throws it at the Wendigo and does a little bit of damage, and I grab it and I start stabbing her, and in the meantime Martin has a silver cross, and so he's trying to pop this creature, but it's very, very tense. It really looks like mechanically, and it could have gone very, very badly. A couple different die rolls. In fact, once again, I think it was the other sister this time, beat the heck out of me, and I'm down to the point where I'm at 0. And at that point, in Ubiquity, you can usually normally have 3 actions in a round, and you can have an attack action, a defense action, and a move. You can only have 1 at that point, or you start to take more wounds. So, from a game standpoint, like what would be the most intelligent thing for me to do would probably be to defend myself. But what would Philippe do in that situation? Well, Philippe was all for one, and he was at that situation. He's going to save Briscoe. He's going to save his friends. He would have put his life in danger and attacked the Wendigo, and probably the next time he got hit would have died. So I was really kind of pretty much thinking to myself, well, what kind of character do I want to point by this next time? And I really thought all of us might buy it. At least 2 of us, at least Martin and Philippe were right there. And just a musketeer code. I don't think Jean-Marie would have backed down here. So really, all 4 of us, when it comes down to it, could have died in that one little situation. So it was really kind of heart pounding. There was that moment where I wasn't sure, like, man, is this the end of the campaign? So it was very satisfying to have that kind of really, really tense moment in and out of character. So that was really, really neat. And we managed to kill the Wendigo with just really just a little bit to spare when it came right down to it. And kind of like at that point we didn't have a lot of time because the game went quite a bit, so we didn't have the real drawn out epilogue, but the idea that we were able to bring this information back to Monsieur de Treville, and it is kind of cool because we're sort of developing this reputation as we're the monster hunters. It hasn't really quite gotten to that yet, but this was more talked about in the epilogue to the game, the one-on-one game between Noel Inquisitor and Runesinger, rather, where they're talking about the idea that maybe at some point he could be kind of get into that kind of monster hunter vibe, like you seem to be that guy if you just stay the course. I think there might have been a discussion between Jean-Marie and Monsieur de Treville. I forget if that was an in-character thing or whether it was some kind of out-of-character thing they were talking about afterwards. But that was really, really, really cool. So that it was a really, really satisfying session. The more I think about it, the amount of bantering and one-liners and camaraderie that we had, the amount of hooks that Francois placed everywhere, the seamless way he was able to just kind of, all of a sudden, okay, yeah, there is a Swedish noble inside this carriage. I'm sure there wasn't a guy in the carriage, but now that made it funnier. That made it more intense. The things he had have happened where he just, kind of put a little tweak here and there, or was able to, like I said, kind of nudge us back in the direction where we were kind of missing on something really interesting. Even just having a really excellent memory for like who knew what when he mentioned Abaquois, I believe was the woman's name, the Native American, and some other stuff. He said, no, Martin knows this, the other 2 don't know this yet. Just kind of reminding us of who knew what. Really, really skilled at juggling all this kind of stuff. Who needs to be brought up to speed, who doesn't need to be brought up to speed. So that was really, really cool. I'm just looking here in my notes to see if there's anything else that. Oh yeah, there's final thing I wanted to talk about. Outside of just like how cool it was in a variety of ways, and just how the characters are interacting with each other. Really like that interplay between Martin and Jean-Marie. There was a very cool, touching scene they had, but just to see, well, who really is the leader here, and there really isn't one. At this point, I've got this conundrum. What do I spend my experience on now? Because I banked 1 experience point from last time, and I got 5 more. And it was a bit of conundrum last time because I had, let's see, what did I have? I had 4 experience points. Wasn't quite sure what to do with them. And so I spent 3 on swinging, which was great because then I got swing on the curtain better, because it's a subset of athletics. That just gives you 1 extra die at any time. It's from the Nautical Adventures, Richelieu's Guide #1 is a little nautical thing in there. But it's kind of cool. Okay, so I got 1 extra die for swing. I can do that much more dramatically now. but I had one extra die left, and last time, and I even made a joke about this in game. I could have put it in stealth because I have nothing in stealth, and in Ubiquity, when you don't have a skill, when you're unskilled, then you take a -2 die penalty. So I have a 3 dexterity, which is what stealth is based off of. So if I want to do anything stealthy, I only have 1 die to roll, because I'm totally non-skilled in that. If I spent 1 experience point on that after character creation, then I could make a 0 level skill, which means I don't get to add any extra dice to it. But I can use all 3 of my dice, the dice based on dexterity. So I can roll 3 dice. However, if I spend 2 points, which I did not have last time after spending those 3 on something else, I could raise it to a level 1 skill, in which case now I'm going to roll 4 dice because I have 1 die from level 1, 3 from dexterity, 4 dice. The thing about Ubiquity is, if you buy level 0 first and then buy a level 1 later on, you have to spend twice of what the skill level is once it has a number. So level 2 would cost you 4. Going from 1 to 2. So the thing is, that means in order to gain a level 1 in stealth, I would have had to spend 3. I didn't want to do that because I would spend one time to get to level 0 and 2 to get it to level 1. Why don't I just wait till after this session, and just spend 2 and give it to level 1 skill, right? Why would I waste an experience point that way? Well, I had a opportunity to be stealthy. I only got to roll 1 die. I rolled 1 success. I still wasn't stealthy. I woke the nuns up. It was not good. This is how careers go down the train. So now what am I going to do with these experience points? Because I have a few different ideas. I could increase Philippe's intimidation because I bought intimidation last time, but to raise it from a level 1 to level 2, it's going to cost me 4 experience points. That's 4 out of the 6 experience points I have. Then what do I do with the other 2? Would I put it in stealth? Or do I take all 6 experience points and raise something like my athletics or my brawl or my acrobatics? Because these are all at level 2, and I can get 1 extra die in all these things by giving myself, raising my entire skill that way. That's pretty expensive, but I could do that. Or I could do something where I spend 3 points to have a specialization in fencing with the rapier, giving myself a massive 12 die pool when I use a rapier when I'm slashing. Then I'd have the other 3 points. What would I spend that on? So yeah, system mastery. Not sure, but I'm not sure if I want to do something like stealth with Philippe because it's kind of not what he's known for. But here I am now power gaming or optimizing my character. But really, really fun session. I'm enjoying it quite a bit, and yeah. So the video went a little bit long, but it was a blast. So I can't wait to actually run the game. But every time somebody else runs the game and it gets deeper and deeper, and I just see how each person runs it, it makes it more and more fun. So hopefully you guys are having fun watching it because we're having a blast playing it.